We used to take off on these big squadron offensive patrols, usually in the afternoon, kitted up, of course, in our long sheepskin thigh boots and leather coats and little sort of motorcycle helmets and goggles. And by the time you got all that in a cockpit, there wasn't much room. We were wedged into our cockpits. Ran our engines up for 2 or 3 minutes, water-cooled engines, time to get them warm, and then took off severally, and at about 500 feet we'll begin to get in formation and head slowly out towards the lines. We were about 20 miles or so behind the line, so we had time to climb up on our way over. Our business was offensive. That's to say, we used to climb up to get height this side of the lines, and then when we'd got our height, go over and look for trouble. And we usually got up to about 15 or 16,000 feet before we actually crossed the lines into enemy territory. This was a good height and, of course, very cold. Our eyes were, of course, continually focusing, looking, craning our heads round, moving all the time, looking for those black specks which would mean enemy aircraft at a great distance away. And we'd be perhaps between clouds, you know, not be able to see the ground or only parts of the ground which would sort of slide into view like a magic lantern screen of something far, far beneath. Clinging close together, about 20, 30 yards between each machine, swaying, looking at our neighbors, keeping our throttles, setting ourselves just right so that we were all in position, as it were. And then sooner or later, we would find the enemy, or spot the enemy. If it was lucky, it would be below us. But in those days, we were always under the enemy. That's to say, our machines, good as they were in the spring of 17, were not really still up to the Huns, who usually had 1,000 to 2,000 feet ceiling clear above us. So even at 16,000 feet, we were still liable to be jumped from on top. But that, of course, didn't have to worry us. And we were usually outnumbered 2 or 3 to 1. We were very rarely fighting on equal terms. In those sort of engagements, when we spotted the enemy formations below us, we used to engage irrespective if there was anybody above or not and just chance it. And usually the top flight of enemy aircraft who were above us would come down and jump us as we went down. You know, it's not really possible to describe the action of a fight like that, because having no communication with each other, we simply had to go in and take our man and chance our arm, and keep our eyes in the back of our heads to see if anybody was trying to get us as we went down. But it was always the point where you had to go down anyway, whether there was anybody on your tail or not. And so the fight began at these altitudes and engaged and disengaged with bursts of perhaps 30 or 40 rounds. Tracer ammunition, you understand, 3-in-1 tracer, so that there was always some idea of where you were fighting, because your sights really were no good in these quick dogfights. There wasn't time to focus anything. It was just really snap shooting.